moving on to John Thor Blank. John Thor Blank was also competing. He went up against Craig Jones. Craig Jones got the back, got a rear naked choke on him. No shame there. Craig Jones is top of the heap. John Thor Blank. He caught a very slick armbar.
Yes, he did.
From the back, where he had, I think he had an overhook.
He had an overhook.
It.
Yes, he did. He had an overhook, and he had an overhook. He was playing I believe he was playing. It almost looked like he was going for a back attempt. I believe he was attacking high guard, and he had the overhook, and it almost looked like a harness at one point in time. And as he was pulling himself up, is when he transitioned and ended up hitting this armbar.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was. I gotta see it again, but I'm familiar with it because one, I've been in it or similar situation,
right,
and been finished with it.
Yeah.
And two, I've drilled it. Or a similar situation. Since working with Thor, I've fell in love again with the overhook and no-gi.
Yeah, that's so let's move on to that, because you've been training with Thor, and like you see, he's got a really strong overhook system.
Yeah,
that
man.
He does.
Yeah.
Which, I guess is pretty typical of 10th Planet, because a lot of the rubber guard is, it's comes right off
Cocoon.
of the overhook.
Cocoon, yeah.
But he seems to really, he just climbs up people. He grabs straight arm bars and stuff. He's really, really nasty. But so what's it like training with him?
Oh, man. Dude, all right, so it's crazy because it's been a while since I felt like I don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like my professor, Luigi, always has a way of showing me that I don't know anything in gi, right? But in no gi, I've gotten away with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started, getting back in the super fight circuit and, not really being able to finish in certain positions, it made me realize, I got to sharpen my no-gi game. So one of the things that during the super fight time, I entered the Radius Invitational, and I came at division, the Radius Invitational one, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It was hosted by Radius Martial Arts, 10th Planet Fairfield, and Connecticut. And we were, I got Frank Jackson the first round. He ended up beating me with an outside heel hook after I went for a calf crush. And that was the day I learned that calf crushes don't work.
That was the story you told me. Gary Tonin was in his corner. Right?
No. That was different.
Okay.
That was a whole different. Yeah, that was
right.
a whole different one. That was PGL 10. Yeah. But this was Frank Jackson was he's a Gracie Farmington Valley.
Okay.
And we were I cut a lot of weight for it, and a lot. It was the first time in a long time I cut to 189 to be in the weight class, because it was 170 to 189.
Okay.
Or so 155 to 180. It was it was like middle weights to So I was like, all right. I cut a lot of weight, and I trained really hard for it, and I was looking at the guys in my division. That was the first time in the super fight bracket I had Oliver Taza, right? And I had Thor. I had John Blank, right? And there's some other very mentionable people in here, too, not take away from them at all, especially, Frank Jackson beat me, not taking away from him. Obviously, he beat me with an inside heel hook, clean. It was good technique. I tapped. Made me realize I didn't know leg locks as well as I thought I did, and actually really kind of put me 100% into working with 10th Planet. But I had started dabbling at 10th Planet Fairfield, and starting to really work on it. And then at the time I was doing that, and watching the guys I was going against, Thor caught my eye for multiple reasons. One, I knew it was a good chance I was going to have to fight him in the second round, because I honestly saw him eating his first guy.
Yeah.
I looked at his first round match, and again, no disrespect to whoever it was, I just saw him doing it. Yeah. I was looking at at the time he had video from Good Fight Sub Only, things like that.
Yeah.
Things that he had been doing, and I knew that there's a lot of heat behind him going into this. And I also knew Zach and JM, because I was trying to, I was starting to dabble in the 10th Planet system, and I was trying to find out people on the East Coast that I could talk to and work with, and Zach and JM were coming up, and so I knew who he was, and when I saw him then, I was like, dude, this is a guy that's not like that typical long, lanky dude. This is a thick dude.
Right, yeah.
Like, he's muscular.
Yeah.
He's shorter, and he's fucking also has this dexterity that I have too. So, like, I was always like, I wanted to learn how he does his shit. You know? So I never got to go against him. And then when I had the super fight coming up for Tap Cancer Out's Black Belt Invitational, and it was no-gi, I was like, well, I really want to sharpen my no-gi game. Mm-hmm. So I was like, right away, I knew that I wanted to go down to finishers because I had still been working in the 10th Planet system, and I knew I wanted to work with Thor. So I started doing privates with him. And, like, I wish my performance spoke better to what he showed me. Because what it was like working with him, this is the only thing I could say. Like, he changed the way I thought about no-gi jiu-jitsu. Like, it's like, not only did he give me so many tools that I could use, but it's just like the way that he has the theory of like, I don't want to go too much into it, but like, his theory of how to control. His theory about control is it spoke to me a lot, right? So it's one thing learning it, right? Yeah. But then when I got to roll with him for the first time ever, he didn't really hold back at all. Yeah. He just let me know what was up. Yeah. And it was up. Like, I don't remember much other than him having my back in an inverted triangle. Like, it happened very quickly. It was like, every time I would try to answer, he would already have been on to the next step. And a next position where I could not get out of. And I had to fight another lock. And then by the time I fought that lock, guess what? There was another lock that I was fighting. And then it was too late. So it was like constantly transitioning his movement, his strength, his grip. And then just like he's one of the best in the world. Yeah, and he's easily one of the best.
He
in the world.
Came up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and dude, that guy I have nothing but like positive things to say about him. Yeah, I mean, he's really changed the way that I look at like a lot of my finishes. I mean, he was very blunt with me when we started doing like our private lessons. He told me what he thought my big issues were, especially after the finishers super fight. One of the things he was telling me is like, dude, you were all over that dude, and you should have finished him like 6 times. And I feel the same way. I have all the respect in the world for my opponent, and but like there was a couple of times where I should have finished it. I should have had that leg, and I should have finished it. Yeah. And shoulda, coulda, woulda, because I didn't. Right. And then I made a super mistake. I caught in the triangle and tapped. Yeah. Like that's what happens. But in this situation, I that's something that bothered me a lot because like most people tap. Yeah. And I'm like, well, does it not work? Is it Vinnie Magalhaes, right? Leg locks don't work, right? No, but no, it's not it. It's just, like, it's one thing to like, get there. And it's some people just tap early from certain shit, especially leg locks. And so Thor really made me realize that, like, at this level, you gotta, like, one of the ways he put it is, like, you gotta pop it at least once. If you're at a competitive pro level, like in order for the guy to tap, and I agree, because like I've let certain things go a little pop because we'll be real. There's a difference between popping and letting it break, right? Like if you're there and it's tight enough where you're starting to get pops, then it's time to tap. We gotta go. We get ice and surgery are 2 different things, right? And then at his level, it's like you gotta fucking break it. Like he's gotta break it. Like I mean, I think that was evident in I don't want to misquote this. The heel hook, the combat jiu-jitsu. Oh, Yuri Samos. With Yuri Samos. Because I was working with him shortly after that, and one of the things he was saying is like, he really was realizing that he was sure he busted that leg. And
I remember it looked like he screamed. I thought it was going to be a verbal tap.
It was rough. And I mean, and in the back, there's rumors that he was like having a hard time walking afterwards and requesting to go to the hospital, things like that. So it's like that is what it is, but it's fucked up at that level. Like, you have to kind of do that. And so like really made me realize you just can't grab like a half-ass thing and like finish it. So like drilling became different for me. Like I had to like really focus on like, I'm not just focusing on the entanglements like I was so much. Like I really need a partner that was like tapping.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, what this whole transition did was it changed me so much as a jiu-jitsu that when it came time to put it to use, I was frozen.
You were kind of stuck in between, transitioning between. Yeah.
I was like, it was like a computer malfunction.
Yeah.
Right before I stepped on the mat, I had literally 1,000 different scenarios playing out in my head, and I was like, fuck. That's what the last thing I went through my head was fuck. I just didn't I didn't know where to go from there. So I feel shitty because I trained with him so much and he showed me so much and really really showed me some good shit.
Yeah.
That has changed me, and I still go down there now. Every other Wednesday I go down to train with those guys because I got so much from that. I was this needs to be a staple of my training forever. Because gi and no gi are different. You have to train them both. If you want to compete in both successfully, you have to train them both, and you have to respect them as being different arts.
Right.
You can get tapped by a blue belt in no-gi that you would never even touch you. They would never even come close to touching you in gi if you were black and blue. But in no-gi, it's a different world, right? And people just don't set their ego aside and realize there's always shit to learn. Bottom line is training with him has made me feel like a white belt again and made me realize that there's always shit to learn in jiu-jitsu. And that's why I train with my professor. He does the same thing. Luigi does the same thing. Every time I work with him, well, fuck, there's so much more I got to learn. I got to go back. So training no-gi with Thor is the exact opposite.
Gotcha.
That's why I go back.
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know John Thor Blank, look him up. I'm not trying to make dwarf comparisons, but he definitely looks like he forges axes. He's built. He's really cool. He's a cool guy to check out. And he's also on the 10th Planet Quintet team now.
Yes, he is.
So do you know, is he an alternate, or did someone get the bump, or?
I don't know.
Because it was, the lineup was Gio, Richie, PJ Barch, Amir Alam, and Big Red Adam Sacknoff. So that was their 5, and so
I always like Adam. I'm a big Adam fan.
I've
always been a fan of Adam Sacknoff.
I was listening to an interview with him not too long ago. He was talking about how his game has changed a lot. He used to play a lot of rubber guard, and now he's doing a lot more pressure passing.
Yeah,
it was really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really interested to know how that's gonna fit in, because I remember hearing an interview. And Eddie Bravo was saying that they were trying to bring Vinnie Mag in, too, to be on the quintet team. Because they were like, we got to have someone that can stop Gordon Ryan and Craig Jones. Straight up. If we can't at least fight those two guys to a draw, we're not going to win any more of these competitions.
Absolutely, right.
So I'm wondering what they're going to do. If it's going to be maybe Gio, Richie, PJ, and then Vinnie Mag and John Thor. I'm curious as to see how that plays out.
I have no idea.
But he's a great addition to the team either way.
Yeah.
But so you touched on something before that was something I wanted to talk about when you were talking about Thor's clinch, how strong he is.
Holy fuck, yeah, dude.
And so this is something about the 10th Planet system that I was thinking about not too long ago. It hit me. I couldn't believe it. It was such an epiphany that, so much is made of Eddie Bravo and 10th Planet and how bizarre it is. It's so unique. It's this strange system, and and he caught a lot of backlash. And I was listening to an interview with him, and he was talking about moving away from leg locks. He was talking about how leg locks, DDS, they revolutionized it in no-gi grappling. And you had to learn how to do leg locks. And he was saying we've done a lot of work on it, and we've caught up, and we're doing really great with this, and it's time to go back to passing and smashing and clinching and forcing that shoulder pressure on people. And I was like, holy shit, it's a clinch-based system. Eddie Bravo, it's
always been.
What it is at its core is very, very fundamental jiu-jitsu.
Clinch, it is, absolutely. It's fundamental jiu-jitsu for MMA.
Yeah.
That's what it started as, right? It was clinch for MMA.
Yeah.
Let's be real. And I mean, it's a real thing. One of the things that started me using it was after I got done fucking fighting, of course. I started getting into rubber guard, and I was training guys and working as the jits guy in the area, helping fighters get ready for stuff. And they would come in and they would try to knock me out in guard. and I would just use rubber guard and shit.
Yeah.
So, like, when I started using that, I was like, fuck, why didn't I use this when I fought? Like, I mean, like, this is, like, because at that point in time, I was just so high on jiu-jitsu all the time.
Yeah.
That I had, like, started getting to 10th Planet and being like, oh, well, fuck, why didn't I do this when I was fighting? You know, like, this makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world, because if you're trying to control somebody from hitting you, you have to control them. Like, every good shot is going to come from posture.
Right.
Every good shot is going to come from posture.
Right.
I mean, I still train boxing every week. I still train kickboxing every week. I always train wrestling. Like, I'm nonstop training, like, MMA fundamentals. And if you're going to be combat jiu-jitsu, I think is one of the best things. If anybody's coming into martial arts right now for self-defense, if you find a fucking gym, and I'm not just saying this because our gym has it, but if you find a gym that teaches combat jiu-jitsu and has combat jiu-jitsu classes, that's going to be the most realistic real-life jiu-jitsu self-defense lesson you're going to get, because you're going to find out the bullshit in jiu-jitsu and the gold in jiu-jitsu. And more often than not, the gold is so fundamental. And it's all about clinching, the overhooks. Like, rubber guard saves your ass. I don't care if anybody says it doesn't work. You know, sorry, they called it high guard before it was rubber guard.
Right,
okay,
right,
like, let's be
right.
real. Like, it saves your ass,
Yeah.
right? I mean, guard is what it is. Yeah, dude. Like, I don't know why it gets crapped on. I think it gets crapped on because of the fact that it didn't have the name behind it. Let's be honest. Like, you know, if this was.
Didn't have that G name behind it.
If it was Eddie Gracie's, jiu-jitsu system, it would have been a lot more accepted. But the fact that, you know, you're beating somebody at their own game with a system that you're done. But I mean, the 10th Planet system's roots, though, they lie deeper. I mean, if you look at who Eddie's teacher was. Look at Jean-Jacques.
Yeah.
Like, dude, Jean-Jacques is a clinch fighter.
Yeah.
Because he had to be a clinch fighter.
Right.
He was, you know, like his, and that's like that's how you know, that's what develops. Like, you know, so it's still jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like shitting on Eddie is shitting on the Mikados, and shitting on the Mikados just doesn't seem to be a wise choice. No, at all. No.
Yeah. So, speaking of rubber guard, you literally just came back from a Jeremiah Vance seminar.
I literally fucking drove back from Jeremiah Vance seminar before I came here, yeah.
And so, if anyone doesn't know who Jeremiah Vance is, he was...
Why are you listening to this fucking podcast?
Seriously.
He,
he's out there tapping people out, doing such advanced rubber guard stuff.
Sleeping motherfuckers.
And he back in the day, in like the early 2000s, he was a professional skateboarder when he was like maybe 15, 16, something like that. And somehow along the way...
That explains a lot.
This
kid was doing like skate tricks. Like, hey, Jeremiah, check this out.
He's out of control. But so, at some point he got hooked up with Eddie Bravo, and he just turned into this, you know, jiu-jitsu Jedi. And he's got... maybe the best rubber guard in the world right now. It's like him, Richie Martinez, Eddie Bravo, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, So, tell us a little bit about what the seminar was like. What kind of stuff was he showing?
Well, all right. So, I've had you know, I was joking about this before I went down there. Like, I was thinking about, like, I really wanted to go to the seminar. This was one that I was like, we're charging the business. Like, Kels was all about it. Like, we're going because I knew it was going to benefit the school as a whole. Going today, I knew I was going to learn more shit with rubber guard and the go-go clinch, right?
Yeah.
So the cool thing about this is, like, I've been developing my rubber guard game, and I want to say that I really feel comfortable at this point in time with starting to use it competition-wise. But it's been a while. I've spent a lot of time on it this year. Mm-hmm. We started working with, it started with just like Pat coming and like kind of refining the go-go clinch and stuff, right? And then Pat came to our gym, and the reason why I brought Pat in was because of Jeremiah Vance was sleeping motherfuckers in IBJJF with this thing. Like, you just killing people in the go-go clinch. And I'm seeing it, and I'm like, oh, this makes sense. But I don't know how the fuck he's doing it. There's so many... Dude, I can't tell you how many little details there were. But as an instructor, a coach, and just a martial artist, I love learning from people that share the same enthusiasm and passion that I do. Which is another reason why I go to Luigi's. Like, because when Luigi teaches, you can see it's there.
Yeah.
There's never a day that he's there and it doesn't look like he doesn't want to be there. I try to carry the same thing when I teach.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Vance was exactly the same way. The only difference is he was really good at it. I'm not good at it. He was like very similar to how there's times when Luigi teaches, we don't talk.
Right.
The room's quiet. Now we had a whole room today. Just dead silence. The way that he captivates people when he speaks and teaches is so good because every part that he's trying to get across goes in your ear and you absorb it. It doesn't go out the other.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he was, the way that he was thinking about it and the way that he was the way that he explained things. I mean, it was nuts, dude. It made a huge difference. Learning from Blank, his rubber guard setup is a lot different, but not much.
Different from Pat's.
Different from Pat's. Pat kind of gave us Pat gave us this is what it is.
Yeah.
And these are your options, right? Thor, he has a very specific way that he likes to do. It's very kind of you're clinching. I mean, I feel that, and even today, as much as I was repping it, like Jeremiah was telling us from the meat hook, I ended up doing it like Thor showed me, which is one of the ways he showed too.
Yeah.
So, he showed a bunch of different ways, but dude, the way that he blends this shit in, how he does stuff, how he really focuses on things, the way he gets techniques across is awesome. It was great, man. It was awesome. I learned so much, and I accidentally put my partner semi to sleep with just doing the drill.
From the go-go?
That, and I learned very quickly why he's putting people to sleep so quickly.
Yeah.
And it was just strictly, dude, when he does this when he puts you, when he catches off of the transition, when he pulls that leg in front of your head, he's already got the back of your neck. And we went over this drill to pull over, pummel, and catch. When he pummels and catches, he pulls that leg over and catches, by that time happens, the way that you're adjusted, the angle that you're on, your carotids are already blocked.
Yeah, yeah.
The lights are going out. So, yeah. He's just, by the time that comes into a full submission, dude, we're done. We're out. And that's it's not a magic choke. It's just already tight before it's finished.
Right.
He's mastered a submission.
Right. The gripping sequence is such that by the time you're actually, quote unquote, in the submission, the submission's already taken effect.
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of people this year talk about the go-go Plata. It's safe to say Jeremiah Vance is a master of the go-go Plata.
Nice. Yeah. Very cool.